And good morning. Welcome everybody to our Power of Print P.o.P webinar series. This is week 2 and one of our dear friends is joining us today, Stephen Gamble, founder of Anchor Health. I'll introduce him a little bit more formally in a moment, but before, as we prepare for our mental health first aid and EAP planning for your business session. However, the first of the most important people to thank are our sponsors. We could not be here without them. RICO Australia have been a long-term partner of the association and continue to be an amazing partner of the association. It's a huge thanks to them that we're able to bring programs like this over 8 weeks, as well as our annual industry metrics support program and other initiatives that RICO very proudly support. We announced last week their great support for the Women in Industry Award, supporting a female leader coming through in our National Print Awards. They never cease to continue to amaze me in their absolute dedication to the industry. They're terrific to work with, and I thank RICO Australia. Also, our industry super fund partner, Media Super, who continue to support the industry across education, not only in financial literacy and superannuation health, but also in initiatives like this, mental health, budget learnings, policy advisements, and so on. And I thank Media Super for their continued partnership. We do have an industry superannuation fund, and having that fund working for our industry is an important one indeed. I said my friend, I always introduce Stephen with absolute accuracy. He's one of the best humans I know. He really is one of these invincible characters that not only does so much for the people around him, but has created something that's so important for our industry in Anchor Health. And we have had a long-term partnership, informal partnership, I could say, across working with Stephen. And I've had the privilege of being on stage with him, and he's just such a comforting ally and sharer of knowledge across what can sometimes be a very vulnerable space to talk about. But one of the very important mantras, and I've certainly sat in a room with hundreds of people screaming it out, is health is health. And this is something that Steve's really taught across all our industry, being originally from our industry, having worked formerly for Botcher. He is now the founder of Anchor Health. Anchor Health, for those that don't know, is a social enterprise formed in 2017 to support the mental and emotional health of Australians through education and psychological support. The organisation and its supporters have funded tens of thousands of education programs across Australia. What started as a great passion is now an absolute force, changing lives and changing industries, our industry included. Anchor Health is passionate about delivering positive outcomes for all Australians, with a percentage of all profits going back into community programs. Stephen's passion is to increase the mental health literacy level of all Australians and support generational change in the way we address mental health within our community, family units and workplaces, all with the ultimate aim of reducing the suicide rate in both youth and adults. It's a commendable passion, and it's a commendable task. As I said earlier, we have had an informal relationship for some years with Steve and Anchor Health. This is, I think, his 3rd or 4th webinar he has conducted, the first being in the thick of a really challenging time for many of us during COVID, and it was the most attended webinar series across that whole chapter, where we started off with 8 weeks and we ended up doing 11. It was so important to add mental health and the Let's Talk program. This is a really exciting session today because it's actually our announcement of a formal partnership where we'll be announcing, there'll be more announcements to all of our members, but Anchor Health has come on board in such great support and continued support of our industry to offer our members, following the mantra of health is health, offering our members a discount across mental health first aid certificate services, and the industry association will also additionally subsidise. With the health is health mantra, most of our businesses have first aid certificate wardens. We want to also have mental health first aid certificate wardens, and that mission was easily embraced. When I first sort of chatted to Steve about it, it was, yes, we've got to do this, and that's what you're about to hear, someone who's passionate, committed to our industry, and an amazing wellbeing and mental health coach, supporter, person. I welcome Steve Gamble to the speak.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for having me once again. I'd like to say good morning to all the VMA community. This is an absolute honour and privilege. Someone who is completely passionate about the industry and, as Kel mentioned before, who has been a part of it since I was 16, which is many, many, many years ago now. To be able to continue to be able to support the people of the industry, one from an education point of view, and now as well from a support mechanisms for organisations and their employees and their immediate families navigate difficulties in life, problems in life, not just mental health, but the problems in life that we all face from time to time. An EAP is an employee assistance program, and for many of us, we haven't heard of EAPs before because EAPs have been the domain of large business. I would go to barbecues and ask my friends who were business owners and those that worked in small to medium-sized enterprises, what is an EAP? And they'd look at me strangely and say, EA, what? But I saw an opportunity to be able to support the development of a partnership EAP program where it truly is a partnership where you work hand in hand with the management of the organisation or the owner to really be able to boost well-being within their workplace so they can provide the organisation with the best level of support that can watch the organisation thrive, but also watch the employees thrive from a really a simple operation of being there in a preventative and early intervention support mechanism. An EAP or an employee assistance program is a workplace benefit scheme designed to support employees facing personal and professional challenges that impact their well-being and their job performance. EAPs are typically for larger businesses, as I mentioned before, but there's a real opportunity for small to medium-sized enterprises to really lock in and find the benefits of having support for problems in life and psychological issues such as stress management, burnout, mental health, problems with family and relationships, both within the workplace and outside the workplace, substance abuse, financial difficulties, and other personal challenges. An EAP with ours is a telehealth service, and why we chose to go telehealth instead of face-to-face is because we wanted to be able to create an opportunity where your team can get the support they need at a time that suits them best. I think all of us at the moment, when we look at the balance between workplace and home life, the balance can seem often teetering towards workplace. But if we can get the balance right where someone can get the support at a time that suits them, at a place that they feel safe, we see that there's a much better uptake and that prevention and early intervention really kick in. But for us, where our EAP sits is with that prevention and early intervention. Someone might find that they are noticing slight troubles in life, be it financial, relationships, understanding self. And if we can build tools with early prevention tools through our EAP, we can see someone thrive and navigate any problems that they may come up to. With early intervention, especially around stress management and burnout, as well as mental health problems, our team of counsellors can support your staff and their immediate family get support in a timely manner. Currently, when we're looking at the Medicare rebate scheme and the referral processes most GPs use, we're looking at anywhere between 6 to 12 months to get in and see a psychologist. For many of the problems we face in life, psychology is not required, where counselling can support and help build a plan and set goals for someone to navigate any of those things that may pop up in life, including, once again, mental health. Treatment really sits at that higher end of town, but with psychology. But if we can get someone in at that prevention or early intervention stage, what we can see is that the treatment becomes less of an issue because they've got any of the tools they need to navigate the problem in life or mental health issue. What are the benefits of having an EAP within your business? Well, it's an enhanced well-being, the well-being of your team. EAPs support employees' mental health, reduce stress, and improve overall well-being within the organisation, but also create another level of support, especially around psychosocial hazards that we're currently navigating with the new WHS mandate, which was from April 2023. It increases productivity by addressing personal challenges. EAPs contribute to higher job performance and efficiencies. And what it does also as well, it also demonstrates a commitment from the organisation that their well-being is and their welfare are a high priority. I'm a big believer that our number one asset within an organisation is the people that we have within it. And if we can make them thrive by navigating any personal issues that they may be going through, all the issues of their family, we can see that the work environment really shifts and we see less issues coming into the workplace. The cost savings of early intervention can stop absenteeism escalating, presenteeism becoming an issue, which has a larger impact on the bottom line of all businesses and turnover of staff. But what I really think is being able to get someone in to be able to get the support they require in that timely manner at a low or no cost really starts to create an opportunity where that person can thrive. When we look at it by the numbers and regardless of the size of your business and the headcount of your business, $14 billion is the annual cost of the Australian businesses for stress-related absenteeism. And that's not including presenteeism where someone isn't productive within the workplace. 48% of resignations in Australia relate to workplace stress and also burnout. An alarming 61% of Australia's workers report experiencing burnout. And, you know, for me, burnout is a balance between navigating home life and workplace, even though the World Health Organization states it as a workplace phenomenon that is impacted from the workplace. I think a really important one, and some of the business that we're currently working with, and we work with businesses now with our EAP across a wide range of different industries, from sales organisations, manufacturing, to service providers, to construction and building. The average cost to employ and onboard in some areas of our community, there's definitely some that are higher, but onboarding and employment and recruiting of a staff member is anywhere between 10 and 25K. If we can keep our team members on board and navigating challenges, we can really make a massive cost savings if we look at that when we look at turnover. 54% of Australians view workplace culture and well-being as a top motivator when choosing an employer. And one of the things that I do hear regularly with our clients from an education point of view and now EAP is that recruiting new quality staff members can be difficult because it is a competitive space at the moment. But if we can provide, especially for those small to medium-sized enterprises, workplace benefit schemes that will support them and their family, well, that makes the employer jump front of line. But I think what we really need to understand is the bottom line to the business. But by providing timely support for a person facing workplace-related challenges, the EAP can prevent and mitigate and navigate the impact of issues such as stress, mental health concerns, and substance abuse on employees and performance. What I do see is that retention of staff members becoming a lot higher where we don't have to go to market to find those new members. But one thing that is real is the cost ROI on workplace benefit schemes around wellbeing. When we look at EAPs, the cost ROI can be anywhere between $3 and $10 and even higher in some manufacturing and different workplace environments. So if we look at what we spend on other workplace initiatives, this is one that we see a huge increase to our bottom line on productivity and retention of staff. What can EAP help with? Well, mental health, anxiety, depression, substance use, and eating disorders, relationships, couples, family, parenting, and workplace relationships. Parenting is a really popular one, actually, that we've found across the organisations that we're working with. Navigating illness, injury, returning to work, lifestyle challenges as well is extremely popular. And understanding self, goal planning, loneliness, building an understanding of who you are, communication skills, especially when we see workplace conflict or navigating difficult situations. Future planning and financial goal setting and planning is really important, especially with 30%, well, the cost of living increasing by 30% at the moment. Emotional health around grief, loss, and bereavement, but then also crisis support. Our team is available if there is an incident within an organisation, such as a loss of life, be it through a workplace incident, a sudden death within the workplace, or there is an issue with an individual within the workplace that may be facing a crisis. We can help intervene there and support the person until they can find the appropriate care for the crisis that's available. So we become your right-hand person and your partner navigating these problems, but also creating opportunity where each of your team members and their family can navigate the challenges that we all face in life in that timely manner at a low cost. Well, for our organisation, we have chosen the telehealth platform, as mentioned earlier, because it just makes getting help so much easier. We don't have to juggle life as much, and we can find that we can do it in a safe place where we feel comfortable. We have 3 options: video, phone, and text message. And I think post-COVID, telehealth with video and phone has become a lot more prevalent and a lot more acceptable for most Australians to access healthcare and support. The steps to landing and engaging with one of our teams, it's pretty simple actually. As many might know, I'm not great with tech, and I find it really simple to step people through it and use the site myself. But it's 4 simple steps. Number 1 is land on the page and check out our team, and we've got a great team of individuals with different experience, so you can float through and check out who would be the person that you feel that would be most suited to your problem and to your personality. Because one of the biggest problems that we find when people lean into therapy is that they feel that it doesn't work because they haven't had an initial connection with that therapist. Well, with ours, you can have a little bit of a look at their bios and work out who it is. If you find that that person isn't suited for you, we can shift you to another one of our team members at no cost. You then jump on and choose a plan that is suitable for your needs. We have 30-minute sessions, which is really unique to our organisation. As someone who works with many people across the country from all different walks of life, some people think that an hour session might be a little bit too much when dipping your toe into a counselling and therapy. So we thought we'd create a 30-minute session where people could start to get comfortable with the whole, the way that therapy rolls. We then have 60-minute sessions, or an individual can buy plans of 2, 3, or 4 30-minute sessions or 60-minute sessions. Once you've selected your plan, you then jump on and find a time and a place that suits you with your selected therapist, and you then jump to our final page. Each organisation that jumps on board will have their own specific and unique code which they can use to access their platform and their plan. And what we have are a wide range of different plans to suit any budget and any business size. And we're working with organisations from 5 to up to 300 people. But it is simple as clicking on enter the code as circled in red, and entering your personal details and any notes that you would like to leave for the therapist, selecting if you would like to have video, phone, or text. And once you enter the code and hit the checkout button, what will happen is automatically an email will be sent to you and your counsellor. You'll have an email sent to also your calendar, and all you need to do is click on that calendar to access our platform when it comes to your time to have your session, or your therapist will call you. It is really easy, but for me, I think that the biggest benefit is knowing that your team or the individuals that lead the team have support mechanisms that will see them get in early and nip in the bud any problems that might be impacting their world. And one of the great things about our industry, and I still call it our industry, is that we have a really diverse background in gender, age groups, and cultural backgrounds, and we want to make it as easy as possible for people to be able to navigate those problems in life in a timely manner. One of the other great parts of the benefit, the partnership that we have striked up with VMA, is the mental health first aid scheme. I'm going to make a call to action here. We have an opportunity to be the leaders of any industry when it comes to building mental health literacy and building supports throughout our organisations. I'm privileged to work with many different industries, from mining and manufacturing to corporate services and tech, and I don't see the take up across whole industry like VMA is positioning today. This is a really wonderful opportunity to be able to provide leaders, and I think really importantly, team members across the team to have vital skills to support their colleagues as they navigate difficulty in life. I've had the privilege of educating well over 500, well, I'd say close to 400 to 500 people, team members from the printing industry, and it's amazing to see the impact that it makes within leadership and the light bulb moments we see within leaders of the business. But it's also providing that level of support for colleagues to be able to talk in the lunchroom by a manufacturing process, a printing press, or finishing in the design room, where they feel comfortable being able to help position the conversation that will be productive, transparent, and supportive. But that comes through having basic literacy around the problems that they might be facing. So what it does, the program unpacks mental health problems such as depression, anxiety, psychosis, and substance misuse, and also creates an opportunity where you can understand is how do you build connection with the person when navigating that? What are the resources available for them within the community, within the workplace, but also what is the best route of action that you can take as a mental health first aider. It does not make you a counsellor, but it gives you the empowerment to be able to step forward. But also we talk to mental health crises as well. And the most common mental health crises that we see within a workplace are traumatic events, panic attacks, and aggressive behaviour. But at the top end of town when it comes to crisis support. We have suicidal thoughts and behaviours, severe effects of drug and alcohol, psychotic episodes, and other crises that may be related to traumatic events or mental health problems that have not been addressed in a timely manner. I'm really excited about this wonderful opportunity. It is a massive honour for myself and the entire organisation to be partnering with VMA and all of you. I am here as a partner. I think it should be really known as well, because I have a really strong relationship with the industry, that if any of your team members should access the site, I have no insight into what is discussed between our team of therapists and the individual. It is completely confidential, and it is part of our charter that this stays confidential. So I just wanted to put many people's mind at ease that, as I know many people within the industry, your personal information and the issues that you do call up on are completely confidential. One thing that is important to understand about an EAP as well is that an EAP is a confidential service. So if you're a leader of a business and you engage us to be your EAP partner, what we provide is a completely confidential service. You'll understand how many people a month or a quarter access the service, but you will not know who or why. Why do we do this? Because we want to create a safe space for individuals to reach out and get support without the fear of being judged or the associated stigmas from reaching out to a support service like this. By doing this and by partnering closely and being part of your business, where we actually come in and run workshops to lift the literacy, we've seen a massive increase above the average of the average EAPs. The average EAP sits about 5%, and about 2% for manufacturing for accessing services. But we're currently tracking around 15 to 20% across all of our industries that we are supporting. And I think that's truly about us not being a distant activation point, but absolutely being part of your business, being another stakeholder within your business that's there to support the leadership and the team thrive and hit their goals as an organisation. Kelly, I'd like to thank you for your time. Once again, it's been 5 years since we did our first one. I looked a lot different. I was less grey, but I want to thank you and the organisation and everyone in the organisation for being a wonderful support to myself and our plight to build literacy and make our industry the most literate and proficient when it comes to supporting a positive mental health and health is health within the industry.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it. Look, I think your call to action is exactly the same as mine. Let's lead this space. You know, you talked about some of those stats there, $14 billion. I've also sat in a manufacturing briefing recently. Here's some numbers for us. 47% across manufacturing, or light manufacturing, which is where print sits. 47% of our workplace injuries are related to psychology and mental health across bullying and harassment matters. Compared to every other manufacturing industry, we're 10% above, they're 37%. So we have an opportunity to really lead and change those numbers and flip them around as quickly as we can. In our light manufacturing industry, we are 9.2 times more likely to have any issue across light manufacturing related to suicide or mental health over any other workplace injury. 9.2 times more likely, 2.4 times more likely if you're 15 to 24. That was from a government briefing. So these numbers are not something that, these aren't sort of just nice to have mental health first aid. These are real positive support structures that we can provide to our employees and people across our industry. These are really important things to talk about. And before we go into a bit of Q&A, I just wanted to say if anyone is uncomfortable or around this topic, or this has created any triggers or thoughts, Lifeline are a brilliant resource, 131114, and please switch off the webinar and make that call now if that would if any of this content has made you trigger or uncomfortable or feel that would be a great call to make. They're brilliant there, and Steve, I believe you still work with them, the great team at Lifeline. These are numbers that we can show leadership in. Our industry shows great leadership across all sorts of initiatives such as mental health and first aid, physical health, mental health, also across environmental initiatives and so on. And I just think the VMA is so proud to bring this partnership to our members, and offering not only a discount, which you so graciously have offered our members across mental health first aid, but also to the first 150 member companies, we'll offer another $100 subsidy off that first aid certificate of training, which if that's not more of a, there's no reason why members cannot get on board with this. Health is health. And I think one of the questions I then ask you, Steve, is, as an employer, I mean, these can be difficult conversations, and we're not all trained, whether you're a manager or a business owner, we're not all trained in how to have them. How can you encourage your employees to participate in a mental health first aid certificate program, or EAP program for that matter, without sort of feeling pressured or, called out or any of those sorts of things? What sort of advice would you give to members listening to how they can start those conversations?
Yeah, well, for me, when we start to look at mental health first aid, if you have a team member, or you put it out to the team for offers of interest, and you remind them that this is about them building skills that they can use within the workplace and outside the workplace with their friends and their family, most people take it up. But I think from a leadership point of view, there's one moment that sits so clearly in my mind of a leader who just looked off into the distance, and I could see this individual reliving a situation that they'd experienced supporting one of their team. And after it, the person came to me and said, "Steve, I could have done more, or I could have handled it differently." And you know what? We know what we know, but if we have the opportunity to grow and learn, then we take that skill and we add it to our always building arsenal as a wonderful leader. But from a top-down, bottom-up point of view, I think organisations should think about having leadership and people within the team across all levels, from dispatch and manufacturing to customer liaison. I think it's really important that it's not just the leadership and the board that are doing these things. If we get everyone talking the same language and educate people throughout a business, then as a staff member, I don't have to look too far for support. And I think that's really beneficial as well. For an EAP, well, if you look at the numbers currently that you've just shared, the likelihood that you've got a staff member that's navigating something and not getting support will be really, really high, because with the cost of living going up by 30%, one of the things we are seeing is that things like psychological support and gym memberships and other things are being pushed out, like that self-care is being pushed out so that the bills can be paid. But with this scheme, your team will either get a heavily discounted opportunity, permission to go seek support, or a fully funded opportunity to seek support, depending on the plan that they settle with. But also it's the time that it takes to get in. On average, we can get someone within 24 hours sitting in front of our counsellor, either online or on the phone. But when we look at the current situation within the community, especially around psychology, and psychology sits at the moderate to acute end of mental illness, okay? But for a lot of those problems that we can support around, counselling is the perfect partner for that. And globally, counselling sits side by side psychology as a healthcare practice. But unfortunately, because of the Medicare rebate scheme and the way that Australian government has aligned themselves with psychology, their counselling sits as the poor brother, but it's not. It really isn't. And I've seen the impact that it does make. But then we look at the opportunity of getting the help early before issues start to increase and the impacts on the individual's life become greater. The sooner we get in to get help, the sooner we're going to be well again. It's a really simple way of viewing it. But knowing that your family can get help as well, there's a general rule of thumb. Anyone who uses your fridge can access that service. And we can shape that to fit an organisational position. But knowing that your partner, your children can get support, and we work with 16 up, okay, so teenagers from 16 up, but in specific cases, we can address younger people, but we'd need to work with myself and my team to be able to navigate that, because there is some things that we do need to be mindful of.
Yeah, I think that's sort of that community, or the ripple effect, is really important for businesses to understand. And 91% of our members are small business operators, and small businesses, we are families in an essence of the community, of our employment, of our work life. So I think it's just as important. And I don't want to twist this or push this into it's a pure commercial play. However, I do remind members that, we in our management of the HRA, our advisory, we are seeing through, despite best of intentions from line managers and business owners trying to support their teams with mental health advice or support, when we're not necessarily trained, there is more and more legislation around psychosocial hazard training for businesses, and we must be more protective, more understanding, and things like EAP and programs to assist not only our employees, but also provide a level of expertise and experience than perhaps your line managers, perhaps you as a business owner. You may not necessarily have the expertise to have some of these conversations. That helps, doesn't it? This is sort of a place where people can actually go and get some support from people who've been trained in how to communicate or talk through some of these challenges. Is that a part of it too?
Oh, 100%, 100%. Look, you might be the greatest production manager of whatever part of the business that you're part of, and that's your specialty. You care about your team members, and so you'll say, look, I'm here for you, but do you know we've got this wonderful resource? It's completely confidential. It's the only time within an organisation you want to be a number. If 5 people are called before you, you're number 6. There's no way that it can feed back. This is a really great opportunity for you to get the help. I want you to be the best you can, both within the workplace and outside. I'm giving you permission to get the help that you may require, and I'm going to be here to support you. And any feedback you get from the sessions that you get, any adjustments that we can help make, reasonable adjustments, we'll make them, because you know what? You're part of this team. And I respect you as your leader, your manager, and I want you to be at your best. If we had a team member that was hobbling around the workplace because of a bad hip or a bad knee, or God forbid, a bad back, we would gently push someone to get that sorted, because we want them to be at their best. This is exactly the same. It's permission to be at your best for any problem in life that you're navigating.
I think I remember you saying to me once, if you had a sore back, you'd see a chiropractor, and it's the same. Health is health, and we need to encourage the conversation to be similar to, if you've got bronchitis, you go and see a GP, and so on. So health is health. And I said in our earlier introductions, the reason, the partnership, and one of the key reasons why VMA is really proud to work with Anchor Health and have this amazing partnership. 5 years of working together, and informal partnerships. It's just fantastic to have a formal one. If we have first aid certificate, we've got physical covered, now it's mental health first aid, and let's get that covered. And I'm so excited to do that. We'll have some further announcements to members about how they can take up this wonderful opportunity with Steve and the team, and also how we can, to the first 150 members, offer an additional discount with a $100 subsidy. I thank you, Steve. You're just brilliant as always. I love working with you. Every time we have a business meeting on the call, he always starts with, "No, but how are you?" And I just love that you always lean in, and you're just an absolute wonderful humour to work with. And I thank you not only for all the Anchor Health and the partnership, but all of your tenure, 16, working across the industry, and you really understand our industry, and that's a real testament to your passion that you give us. So thank you for that. I also, as we wrap up now, again, want to call out thanks to Rico Australia and Media Super. What a really important partnership to bring. What a really important conversation we've had today. And we would not have had that without those two wonderful supporting companies, Rico Australia and Media Super, who help us bring this content alive and bring these partnerships, additional partnerships, to our members and industry. Looking forward to next week's week 3, which is ill and injured employees, your rights and obligations as an employer, with our very own Charles Watson, General Manager, IR Policy and Governance. This is an important topic to understand. It's a nice refresher. Sometimes we think we're fully across all of our workplace relations obligations, but this is also important to understand how we can work employer-employees together across ill and injured employees. And Charles also, in a segue to this wonderful discussion, we'll talk a little bit about the role of mental health is across ill and injured. It's not just physical, and how we can assist in understanding how we can support employees come back to work and that their journey. I look forward to speaking to you all again next week. Thank you again, Mr. Gamble. It's an honour, and enjoy your week, everybody. We'll see you next week for week 3.